Let me welcome you to another chat on the L2X platform. This is episode 7 of season 4 in our Trust series, and my name is Henry Baye, your host. As I mentioned in my previous chat, it has been established clearly through research that there are certain behaviors that help breed trust, and these can all be learned behaviors. During our last chat, we started a conversation on what behaviors will help build trust, and we dealt with 2 important behaviors: being forthright and being transparent. If you haven't seen those chats in the previous ones, please make it a point to check them out. In this chat, we are dealing with 2 more behaviors: demonstrating respect and keeping commitments. Demonstrating respect is about how we treat people and how we show sensitivity to their feelings by showing care and concern. As you think about behaving in ways that build trust, keep in mind that every interaction with every person is a moment of trust, not just a moment of truth. They say how you behave in that moment will either build or diminish trust, and this opportunity is geometric. How you behave with one family member is noticed by other family members. How you behave with one direct report gets discussed with other reports. How you interact with one client is observed by other clients. This is the stuff by which corporate legends are created. It's the ripple effect, once again, the opposite of the mafia read. By behaving in ways that build trust with one, you build trust with many. When leaders show genuine care for people, they feel respected, and that breeds trust. Leaders who do not genuinely care about people or show an interest in the development of their followers also generate low levels of trust. When employees believe that their leaders do not care, they don't give their best. Leaders who are only nice to people who owe them work and then switch to a nonchalant outlook once they don't need them do not build genuine relationships of trust. Saying thank you is another important way in which we express respect. Being ungrateful tends to be an expression of entitlement and a sense that the efforts people put in to get things done are taken for granted. When people are taken for granted, it just generates distrust. A true expression of gratitude for the smallest things done is a way of saying, I place value on what you do and give. Try to listen to 2 people talk about someone who they find as ungrateful, and it becomes clear that what they are talking about is trust. Melody Beattie, a writer, once wrote, "Gratitude unlocks the fullness of life. It turns what we have into enough and more. It turns denial into acceptance, chaos to order, confusion to clarity. It can turn a meal into a feast, a house into a home, a stranger into a friend." Being thankful has a multiplier effect in building relationships of trust and commitment. It is one of those things that does not hurt you in any way to do. It is one of the powerful trust behaviors when people know that you will appreciate what they do, or they are more motivated to be and do things for you. Part of my childhood, I grew up in a small village. One of the most treasured practices I observed and was taught to follow was one where whenever someone did an act of kindness or gave someone a gift, the receiver, after saying thank you on the scene, would also go to the person's home the next morning to just say thank you. Today, when I look back, what the practice bred was a culture of appreciation, respect, and trust. There are many little costless things that demonstrate respect and care and help build trust. Recently, as in my usual custom, I sent handwritten Christmas cards to staff, and some of the responses even inspired me. Take time to write handwritten notes of appreciation. Send emails of concern. Sometimes just placing a call to check on someone or even acknowledgements of people and what they have done or achieved can go a long way in helping demonstrate respect. The next behavior is keeping commitments. As you probably would know, I have raised 5 children of my own, or I'm still raising 5 children of my own, and many others through life, church, and work. And I can tell you that perhaps one of the most dangerous things a parent can do to their child is to make commitments that they don't keep. If you ask your child to do something and tell them what consequences there will be for not doing it, you better implement the consequences or give them the reward you promise when they do or don't do. If you don't, and you do that continuously, your child learns that these are empty threats. They grow into life not learning to keep to their own commitments. The reverse works the same way. When you promise to do things for them that you don't do or find an excuse not to do, you are raising an employee in the future who will not keep to their commitments. This is the power of keeping commitments. In the corporate environment, when you ask people to deliver a certain result as part of a campaign, and when they deliver, you find an excuse not to give them what they are due, you create a trust problem. Guess what? They would find no value in delivering results in the future. Keeping commitments must be in small things like just saying, I will get back to you today. And when you are not able to say, for XYZ reasons, I will have to extend my promise to get back to you maybe the next day. One of the business experiences I've enjoyed the most have been sales management roles. In these roles, I have learned a lot about keeping commitments. I've experienced different types of colleagues. The first type are the ones who make commitments to deliver a certain result and make every effort to keep it. And they do this consistently. These employees become very trusted. They are the ones you enjoy spending time with because the conversations are always results-oriented and they become important in helping deliver team results. In short, they are trusted. Another type of colleague are the ones who has a gun to the head of everyone. They are constantly asking for one thing or the other for which they commit to deliver. And when you give them, they are looking for the next reason why they didn't deliver and ask you for one more thing. And you keep giving them one thing after the other and they continue not to deliver. They don't demonstrate real responsibility to deliver on their commitments, as they might find something to blame for not keeping their commitment. This behavior is the quickest way to erode trust. The third category of salespeople are those who underdeliver all the time and apologize all the time and make new promises and break them. After a while, their promises become worthless, and that is a big trust problem. Of all the trust behaviors, keeping commitments is one of the most powerful. It is the quickest way to build trust. Keeping commitments begins from the home, in the relationship we build with our spouse and children, to how we relate to people at work and others in the community and societies. Perhaps one of the most important ways to keep commitments is just turning up on time. Sometimes people make vague commitments to avoid being held accountable for what they commit to. They use words that, when it comes to the crunch, can be given other interpretations to avoid responsibility. Once commitments are made, it is important, if they will not be met, to be the one to own up first and let the other party know that for some reason there will be a delay in meeting a deadline, rather than wait to be asked. As I illustrated earlier, keeping commitments is perhaps the best way of teaching our children to be the same. Leaders always play an important role in role modeling this behavior. I found out that when you work under a leader who always turns up to meetings on time, a culture of punctuality is automatically created and others start keeping their commitments to show up on time. If you agree with people that you will take a certain action to solve a problem, you don't turn around and do the opposite. Sometimes commitments are implicit, even if not stated in black and white. And it is important to understand the commitments we make, whether it is explicit or implicit, as not keeping them both drain the pot of trust. This is where I conclude today's chat with a quick thought. Keeping commitments is so important that you need to make them carefully as well. Be careful not to make promises easily. There is an adage in my local language that making a promise is like buying on credit, and you should remember that you must pay for it. In my next chat, I'll be handling 2 more trust behaviors, practicing accountability and getting better. As I mentioned earlier, this is the crux of the series and you don't want to miss any of them. So here is what you should do. Subscribe to the channel. Press the notification button. Get other people to know about these videos by sharing them wide. And of course, if you have any questions or reflections, please share them with us. I'm Henry Bai, your host on Lead to Exceed. See you soon.